What's up, guys? Chris here to talk about last night's quote unquote controversial Bernard Hopkins Jean Pascal fight. I say quote unquote because it seems like a lot of the people thought that Bernard Hopkins won this fight, and they think it's a controversial decision. My boy Calix Boxing on here. Make sure to check out his channel, one of the best channels on YouTube, in my opinion, boxing channels. But he said, there's a difference between a debatable decision and a controversial decision. And I agree with him in saying that this was debatable, but not necessarily controversial. At least that's my opinion of the fight and his as well. I will say this to start off about the fight. Wasn't looking forward to the fight. Pretty much everyone that I was talking to leading into the fight thought it was going to be an ugly fight, going to be boring. Wasn't a strong contender. Wasn't, people favored Hopkins. A lot of people favored Hopkins because of his experience, just being the better technical fighter. And a lot of people like myself favored Jean Pascal because of the youth, the athleticism, just he looked good against Chad Dawson. But, very surprised by the outcome of this fight. Well, not the outcome, but the way it turned out. Much more exciting and entertaining fight than I'd seen from Bernard Hopkins in a long time. Um, I'll go over the fight briefly. Obviously, Pascal started out strong early, got a knockdown in the first round with a punch that was, I guess it was behind the head illegally. It wasn't fully behind the head. I don't think Pascal was intentionally aiming there. If you see the angle that he was at, he couldn't really tell where the punch was going to land. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was a fair call on the knockdown. Second round was kind of a close round. I gave it to Pascal as well. The thing is, I went back. I didn't score this fight the first time I watched it. I went back and scored it afterwards. So I'm just going to give you my round-by-round scores real quick. Third round, Pascal. It was a close round, but Pascal got a knockdown again late in the round. Had to give him a 10-8 there as well. I know some people were trying to get a 10-9. It wasn't a 10-9. It was a 10-8 round. It was a close round, but Pascal with the knockdown deserves 10-8. This is where the fight started to turn, though. For some reason, Jean Pascal seemed to be in control of the fight 3 rounds through. But from the fourth round on, he stopped. He took his foot off the gas, I guess you could say. He stopped being as aggressive as he was being early on. I don't know why. But of course, you got to give Bernard Hopkins credit for being able to execute his game plan and, make it his style of a fight. There was a knockdown in the fourth round. It wasn't counted because Bernard was hitting him back in the head. So I'm curious to see if you guys think that knockdown in the fourth round should have been counted or not. Anyways, I gave Hopkins that round. Fifth round, I actually gave it to Jean Pascal. I thought he came back strong in that round. Thought he landed the bigger punches. Sixth round, give it to Hopkins. This is where Hopkins started taking over. Sixth round, give it to Hopkins. Seventh round, Hopkins, like I said, Jean Pascal wasn't really doing much. Bernard Hopkins was coming forward. Bernard Hopkins was landing some really, really solid body shots from the fourth round on. Mostly to the left-hand side. Really effective body work from outside and, of course, inside the clinch. There wasn't nearly as many clinches in this fight as I expected. Another reason I thought it was going to be an ugly fight, but when there was, Bernard was getting the better of it. Eighth round. Close round. I actually scored it 10-10. I know a lot of judges don't do that, but I scored it 10-10. And I went and looked at the official scorecards before I made this video. There actually was an official that scored one round of 10-10. Not this round, but at least there was one official that scored it 10-10. And as far as the 10-10 round goes, that just is me saying that I thought it was a close round. I don't think neither fighter did enough to establish himself as a clear-cut winner of that round, so who do you give it to? In my opinion, it's an even round, so I scored it even. Ninth round, I gave it to Hopkins. 10th round, I gave it to Pascal. I thought he fought a strong round. I know a lot of judges gave Hopkins a lot of the late rounds of a sweep, but I thought Pascal won the 10th round. Gave Hopkins I gave Hopkins the 11th round. Thought he came on really strong there. And the 12th round, once again, I had it even. That's debatable. Hopkins started out really rushing at Pascal to open that round, come out strong. But after that, second half of the round, I thought Pascal did a lot of effective work. And not just second half of the fight, that round. I thought he landed a lot of big shots throughout the round. And even late, with the flurries, I thought it was a really, really close round. Once again, not one that I think would establish fighter. Either guy established that he clearly won the round. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to change the channel, man. I got something on it. It's playing some terrible, terrible music. Anyways, so yeah, I had the 12th round, 10-10. Even. So at the end of the night, when I scored it, once again, I'm no expert, never will claim to be one. Obviously, I'm not a judge, so I can't really, and I wasn't there, so fans or judges could see it different. But at the end of the night, the way I scored after rewatching it, I had it 115-113 for Pascal. Thus, I have absolutely no problems with the draw. I think a draw is a fair decision. The press row, they had a majority decision for Hopkins. You had two guys, I believe, favoring Hopkins, and one had a draw there as well. The official scorecards, 114, 112 for Hopkins, 113, 113 even, and 114, 114. Kind of interesting to see 114 and 113. Usually when it's a draw, the scorecards are the same, like 95, 95 or 114, 114. So interesting to see they're off by a point. The point I want to make is if you think that Bernard Hopkins got robbed, look at the scorecards, the official judges' scorecards. No official gave John Pascal more than 5 rounds. The most he got was 5 rounds on the judges' scorecards. Like I said, one judge scored it a 10-10 round, so that would give him 6 rounds. Another official, the one that had Bernard Hopkins winning, only gave Pascal 4 rounds. But another judge gave him 5 rounds. So look at it like this. Do you really believe that Jean Pascal couldn't have been given 5 rounds in that fight? Do you really think he only won 4 rounds? If you think Hopkins won that fight, then basically you're saying Jean Pascal only won 4 rounds. I think Jean Pascal definitely won the first 3. And then I guess that means you would assume that Bernard Hopkins won the other 9. Because that's what he would have to have done to win a decision. If you gave Jean Pascal at least 4 rounds, then that's going to make it a draw. So I don't see a problem there. Or I think it's 4 rounds. Yeah, 8 rounds to 4. That's going to make it a draw. So, and if you make it 7 rounds to 5, then it's probably going to give Jean Pascal. Then it is going to give Jean Pascal the win, slightly. So, just those 2 knockdowns early on in the fight were what the big, really worked in Pascal's favor in earning a draw. If not for those knockdowns, he would have lost the fight, and it would have been a fair decision in my opinion. Neither man loses. Bernard Hopkins loses the title. He could have made history winning the title, but he didn't lose the fight. It was a draw, and I think it's a fair decision. But that's just my opinion and how I saw the fight and how I scored the fight. Like I said, not a lot of people give 10-10 rounds, and I had 2 of them, which is why I ended up with Pascal winning. But if I would have given Hopkins, let's say, the 12th or the 8th round, it still would have been a draw on my scorecard. So I think the reason a lot of people think Bernard won the fight is because they didn't expect him to do as well as he did. And, sure, you hear a lot of people saying, look at the punch output. He landed this many more punches. Hopkins said that as well. Yes, he did. But you know what that says to me? That says maybe he was just a little bit more dominant in the rounds that he won. Maybe he just landed a lot more punches in the round that he won. Because the rounds that he did win, Pascal really didn't do shit. He really didn't do much of anything. He really didn't throw a whole lot. Once again, I don't know why that is, but he didn't. So the punch stats for me in this fight just means Hopkins landed a lot more in the rounds that he won. It doesn't mean he landed more every single round and dominated every round that he didn't get knocked down in. So yeah, are we going to get a rematch next? Who knows? I hope we get a rematch next because it's an intriguing bout. It's a much more intriguing bout after seeing this one and the way it played out. If it does, I'd be shocked if Bernard Hopkins goes up to Canada to fight again because he felt he got robbed. And you can't blame him. Even though personally, I don't think he got robbed, you can't blame him for wanting a neutral site. So I imagine it's a fight, a rematch the fans want to see. I would hope that both fighters want to see it, and I hope it gets made. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm going to be talking about... Actually, I did a post-fight show on this fight last night on Science Fights Radio. You can go back and listen to that now if you want on the podcast. It's kind of a last-minute thing. I just want to hear people's opinions on the fight right after it happened, who they thought won, reactions, because I had a pretty strong reaction at the time. But I'm going to be talking about it again in about an hour's time on Science Fights Radio Show. I'll put a link information part of the video as usual if you guys want to call in and give your opinion on the fight. Who you thought won, the number is 347-637-3025. I'll also put a link to my Twitter in the information part of the video as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Really good fight though, at the end of the year on boxing to end the year. Didn't expect it, and early Christmas present. Hopkins and Pascal delivered. So good fight. Want to hear you guys' scorecards. If you watched the fight more than once, did your opinion of the fight change after watching on second viewing? Who do you think won? Why? Do you think it should have been a draw? Just give me all your thoughts on it. I want to hear them. And that's pretty much it for now, guys. Until next time, though, I'm out.